You know that moment when you wake up at 3 a.m. in your tent, shivering, staring at the ceiling like, yeah, this was a mistake? Stick around because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which cold weather sleeping bag will not let that happen again. Let's start at number 6 and work our way up to the bag that, frankly, feels like cheating winter. 6. Teton Celsius Regular Sleeping Bag. On paper, this thing looks like a workhorse. Roomy rectangular cut, integrated mummy-style hood, cozy poly flannel lining, and serious cold weather ratings going down as low as around 0 degrees Fahrenheit depending on the version. You slide into it and go, oh, this actually feels like my bed at home, because that flannel lining is soft in a very familiar way. The tough polyester taffeta shell feels like it can handle being dragged around camp, tossed in the trunk, and stomped on a bit without crying about it. What really stands out is the warmth it can hold when you get it dialed in. The double-layer construction and that synthetic fiber fill do a solid job of trapping heat along your core once the bag is warmed up. The draft tubes along the zipper and shoulder help cut down on those sneaky little cold leaks that usually ruin a bag in borderline temps. Once you're zipped up, hood cinched, and settled, it does that thing where you realize you're no longer thinking about being cold. That's kind of the test, right? When you forget the bag exists, it's doing its job. Now, here's where the Celsius Regular starts to show its flaws. First, it's big. Takes up way more of your trunk or pack than you want it to admit. The included stuff or compression sack helps, but you're not shrinking this into some tiny backpacker's burrito. If you're car camping, cool, no problem. 5. TANSTRIDER Cold Weather Sleeping Bag. The TANSTRIDER Cold Weather Sleeping Bag is kind of that pleasant surprise, but product. First impression, when you pull it out, it's lighter than you expect for a cold weather bag, and the outer shell feels tough enough to handle regular use. The polyester ripstop fabric feels durable, and the brushed interior has that soft, almost fleece-like vibe that makes you think, okay, this might actually be nice to sleep in. You get in, zip up, and it does feel pretty cozy at first. The warmth is decent for what it is. This bag sits in that 3 to 4 season zone, which means it handles chilly nights well and can dip into legit cold weather as long as you're layering smart. It has enough insulation to keep your core warm, and the ability to unzip sections, including around the feet, gives you flexibility when temps fluctuate. That extra wiggle room at the knees and feet is something you really notice when you're trying to get comfortable in one position for hours. But here's where reality taps you on the shoulder. The TANSTRIDER bag feels like it's trying to be everything at once: warm, lightweight, and budget-friendly. And, when a product tries to check every box, it usually compromises somewhere. With this one, the compromise shows up when temperatures really drop. It's fine in mild to moderately cold conditions, but once you start flirting with real winter temps, you start to feel those cold spots creeping in, especially if you're not using a high-quality sleeping pad underneath. 4. Venture Forth Backpacking Sleeping Bag. The Venture sleeping bag feels like it was designed by someone who actually hikes with their gear. First off, for a cold-leaning 3-season bag, it packs down nicely. The included compression sack actually does what it's supposed to do, and you don't feel like you're wrestling a wild animal every time you try to stuff it. When it's on your pack, the weight and bulk feel totally reasonable for backpacking or travel. Inside, the bag has a comfortable, slightly roomier cut than a super aggressive mummy. You can move your legs, adjust your position, and not feel vacuum sealed. The synthetic insulation does a steady, reliable job of trapping heat for cool to cold nights, especially when paired with a decent sleeping pad. It's one of those bags where after a long day, you slide in, pull the zipper up, and just kind of exhale because it's simple and it works. No drama. The fabric feels good against the skin, not plasticky or noisy, which matters when every tiny sound seems louder in a tent at night. The zipper track is smoother than you'd expect at this price point, and snagging is rare if you're even mildly paying attention. Venting is easy, so if you run warm, you can crack it open a bit without losing all your heat. It's very much that trusted tool type of bag rather than a gimmicky product trying to impress you. 3. MEREZA Cold Weather Sleeping Bags. The MEREZA Cold Weather Sleeping Bags, these are the ones you unroll and immediately notice the extra attention to comfort and warmth. They often come with generous insulation, a well-shaped hood, and that feeling when you first get in of, oh yeah, this is actually warm already. You don't have that icy shock to the system moment you get with cheaper bags. The MEREZA design leans into genuine cold weather performance. The draft collar, zipper baffles, and overall cut do a great job of eliminating those sneaky cold spots. You shuffle a bit, adjust the hood, and once you've created that warm bubble around you, it holds. That matters on windy nights or when temps drop harder than the forecast promised. You know when you do that little test of sticking a hand out and instantly tuck it back in? With this bag inside that cocoon, you're good. What helps a lot is the balance between roominess and efficiency. You're not trapped, but you're also not heating an extra cavern of wasted space. For side sleepers, it's forgiving enough to move around without compressing all the insulation on one side. And the included compression sack actually brings it down to a packable size for car camping and lighter backpack trips. You're still aware it's a cold weather bag, but you don't resent carrying it. In terms of build, the stitching and zippers feel reassuring. They don't have that fragile, don't pull too hard energy. 2. REDCAMP Cotton Flannel Sleeping Bag. The REDCAMP sleeping bag is the one that feels like someone stuffed a winter cabin into a bag. When you first slide into that cotton flannel lining, you get this instant homey feeling. It's warm in a familiar way, not just technically warm. If you're the kind of person who hates that slick, shiny interior some bags have, this is like the antidote. This bag leans hard into comfort and warmth for car camping and colder weather overnights. The insulation is generous, and paired with the flannel interior and sturdy shell, it builds and holds heat really well once your body warms it up. You know that moment when you wake up at 4 a.m. and cautiously check if your toes are still warm? With the REDCAMP, most of the time the answer is yes. You can sprawl, roll, and change positions without feeling like you're squeezing all the warmth out of one side. Size-wise, it's roomy. That's a big win if you hate the mummy bag coffin experience. You can wear thicker layers, stash a water bottle inside so it doesn't freeze, even keep a few small items handy. The zipper tracks are straightforward, the exterior feels durable, and it absolutely feels built for repeated real-world use, not just occasional once-a-year trips. The trade-off, of course, is that this isn't a minimalist, ultralight backpacking bag. It's heavier, bulkier, and clearly aimed at people who prioritize a solid night's sleep over shaving every possible gram. KingCamp Sleeping Bag. This is the one that once you've used it a few nights in real cold, makes you go, okay, yeah, this is different. KingCamp clearly set this up to be a true cold weather performer. Depending on the exact model, you're getting either high-quality synthetic or down-fill, a tough outer shell that shrugs off moisture, and a warm, comfortable interior that doesn't feel clammy even when conditions get a bit damp. When you climb into a good KingCamp cold weather bag, the first thing you notice is how fast it feels warm. You're not lying there for 20 minutes waiting for your own body heat to do all the work. The insulation lofts up nicely around you, the hood wraps in close without feeling suffocating, and the draft tubes actually do their job. Once you're zipped and cinched in, it has that, I could actually sleep through a snowstorm in this energy. The zipper quality is legit. You know how many bags feel perfect until the zipper misbehaves and suddenly you're fighting it in the dark? Here, the zippers move smoothly, feel sturdy, and don't constantly snag. There's usually a solid compression sack included too, so for the amount of warmth you're carrying, the packed size feels very fair. You can backpack with it, travel with it, or toss it into the car and know it's not eating your entire cargo area. Final thought. That's all for today, folks.